Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Teresa here. Today I'm participating once again in the Traci Reed Designs YouTube hop featuring her brand new collection called Summer Camp. And this is the layout I will be creating for you today. And these are the pattern papers from the Summer Camp collection and also the stickers from this collection that I have printed and cut out using my silhouette. And so let's dive into the process. Alright, so a couple of things I did before sitting down here at my worktop. I used one of the background pattern papers, this light blue paper from the Summer Camp collection, to create a background, and then in Photoshop I laid out some of these sort of badge kind of shapes around the page and left some space for some of the word art. And I took inspiration from these badges in the stamps and left some of those on the background paper before I printed it. And then I took the pattern papers and cut those out using that badge shape, and I just filled in one of those badges. I created a fill layer that was all black and then copy pasted it across the page and used the clipping mask to use all of the pattern papers. I tried to use all of the pattern papers that are included in this collection. It was part of my challenge to myself. And so my concept was to create this pattern paper background using that badge shape. And so what I'm going to do now is take all of these pattern paper badges and adhere them to the background paper. And so I started out with a couple of rows. In my original design, I had left them flat on the page, just in solid rows across the page. But I realized that it would be a lot of fun to sort of layer them, and you would get that nice rich texture featuring these beautiful patterns and all of this gorgeous color. And it really it turned out really nice. It was a little different than what I had envisioned in my head, and I love that when it evolves, when the layout evolves while you're creating. And since I wasn't about to cut out any more of these pattern paper badges, so I used what I had, and I didn't count how many I cut out, but I know it was 2 8.5 by 11 pages. That's how many I printed. But I ended up leaving some space, some blank space on the layout so that I could layer them the way that I envisioned. I hope that makes sense. So you can see here how it's going together, and I think that this is such a satisfying thing. I love taking shapes from the collection and repeating those shapes. I did a similar thing last month with the Happy Day collection, where there were some cute little round fans, paper fans, in one of the pattern papers, and so I repeated that in a three-dimensional realm. And doing the same thing here, this is just a great way to repeat patterns, to take inspiration from the collection itself, to create your layout, and let the product designer, in this case Traci Reed, to let the product designer do the heavy lifting for you. So thanks, Traci. And also use all of the collection. I just think it's a lot of fun, and so I'm going to challenge you as you're going through the YouTube hop today and taking inspiration from everyone who's participating. Challenge yourself to figure out a way to use all of the collection, all of the pattern papers. You don't have to print out the full 12 by 12 or full 5 by 8 size. You can just print out the shapes that you want. And that's what I did here, and you would never know. You would never know that these didn't come from a full printed 12 by 12 sheet. And that's, I say this over and over and over again, that's one of the main reasons I love hybrid scrapbooking, because you only have to print out what you're actually going to use. So this was kind of a fun time in creating this layout, because at this point I'm just playing with embellishments and tucking them in and around the photo, tucking them in and around the paper badges. And I could have gone on forever. I could have just kept adding things and adding things. But if you're like me, time is not a luxury that I have a lot of days. And so I set kind of a mental timer for myself. And so at the end of, 15 or 20 minutes of embellishing, 5 or 10 minutes of stamping, and that was it. And then I just called it done. And whatever I had on the page is what I considered done. And that's just a reminder to you that if you struggle knowing when the page is done, just set yourself a timer and then call it done then. And I think that it actually did perfect. Because what I wanted the focal point of this layout to be, obviously, is these paper badges. I spent a lot of time cutting those out and arranging them and figuring out the concept for this page. And so let the focus be on those paper shapes. Let the focus be on the background. The embellishments, I focused really more on words and word art, and getting some of the mood of this event onto the page. And so the event, by the way, the photos that I chose were from a trip we took a couple of years ago to Savannah. And Savannah has a most lovely children's museum. It's outdoors, so if you're going to go, you should go on a day that it's sunny and not too hot. Ha ha ha. And it's an outdoor ruin and a really cool place to hang out. They had some older kid games and some younger kid areas. And I think, let's see, the date on this was 2018, and it sort of blew my mind a little bit because that was 4 years ago. And it feels like it was really just yesterday. So, but this is my son Nick, and so I took a photo of him and then one of he and I together and pulled those into the layout. Just to have this trip documented in his albums. I am continuing to work on our boys' albums, Addison and Nick. Addison graduated last year. Nick is graduating this month in just a few days. And I'm not really like trying to push myself to finish their albums by any means, but I have been working a little bit extra hard on their albums recently, just because I feel ready to wrap their projects up and call that done. It's kind of a nice place to be at. So a little bit of stamping. I already had those badges on the background that were in black, and so a little opportunity here to use an LE Studio stamp and just add a little bit more of that to the page. And again, I could have spent 20 minutes stamping on this page, but I set a limit. I sort of made 3 spaces for the stamping and just kept it to that. I added the date stamp here at the bottom with this little embellishment cluster, and that was when it sort of blew my mind, because I was like, oh my word, that's already 4 years ago. And so then once I have the stamping done, I'll do just a really simple journaling there at the bottom. It ended up working out great to leave some blank space on the page, and that created space for my journaling. And I want to just say, if you decide to do something like this and you put your paper badges or your embellishments all the way across the page, you can journal on the badges themselves. That would have been another option if I hadn't left space for the journaling. But it ended up working out perfect. And so I love the layout. I hope you love it too. I hope that you're inspired. Again, be challenged to use all these beautiful pattern papers on a layout, just in small doses. And let me know if you do that. Be sure to follow along with the other creatives on this YouTube hop. I will have everyone linked below, and be sure to leave a little bit of love as well as you travel throughout the hop. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.